With the 12th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Bo Nix, or did they select Drew Brees 2.0? Sean Payton talked about the similarities between Bo and Drew yesterday. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk to Baldy here on the DNVR Broncos Podcast, where we are live in the Toyota Lounge, where, of course, brought to you by your Front Range Toyota stores here inside the DNVR Bar. We've got Henry Chisholm. We've got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis. We've got you here behind the camera, and yours truly rocking and rolling with you. We did have another guest on set, but a little drama in this past minute. Henry, would you like to explain?
Yeah. So basically, our good friends at Raising Cane's sent us something awesome. Well, the second most awesome thing they could have sent us, which is the chicken fingers are the best. But they also sent us this massive dog that Yaya won't let us put on screen. Not for any good reason.
It's a dog. It is a big dog. Bigger than your kids, Todd. I mean, this is a big dog. Oh, wow.
Yeah. See, nothing Yaya can do about that. It's Kane.
It's so easy. I can get up anytime.
Yeah. Well, now at least I showed everybody what it looks like. It's been like 3-4 times that all of a sudden. Oh.
I mean, it is rocking sunglasses too. It is.
Yeah.
Did he mute you?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Here, why don't you just blur it out? You have the ability to blur it out.
It's too much work for me at this point.
Good.
So we had a little fun with that. Todd, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm not mad at the dog being on set.
No.
Doesn't bother me.
It's good vibes. The first couple times I said, no, you just walked over here. Don't blame me.
It's
a dog.
When you talk about a dog on the football field, which, Todd, you and your teammates, there were a lot of dogs on that team.
This is who you're talking about.
That's
sunglasses, that's the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the dog.
These dogs have a little bit more bite.
I don't think this dog can open his mouth.
That Super Bowl team and that defense the couple of years after, I think gave such a false impression of what a normal defense is like. Because now it's like, well, who are the dogs on the Broncos defense? There might not be one. Hopefully we'll see maybe a breakout dog or two pop out, but it was literally more guys on that defense were dogs than not. It was wild.
Yeah, it was a good time to be alive. What did Sean call those guys? Not stray dogs, but they were like
orphan dogs.
Orphan dogs.
And
no
then
orphan
rescue
dogs.
dogs.
It's a different type
No
of
rescue
dog.
dogs. Yeah.
They're, that's
You guys were
just dark.
DAWGs.
Dogs.
Yeah, and Sean's
Wow.
referring to these guys as
Wow.
rescue dogs. Orphan dogs.
Can you say dogs that way?
Dogs.
That's my very. You got really Montana real quick. Out there round up them dogs.
Yeah, it's gonna look at a shotgun. Where them dogs at?
Wow.
Yeah, that got very dark very fast.
Oh, there was a terrible. This is a really dark story, but it was it would have been like
jeez.
5 years ago now. One of my grandpa's neighbor's dogs attacked one of my grandpa's cats, and the neighbor was just like, "Oh, I'll handle it," and just took the dog out and shot it, and that was that.
Oh my
Dang.
God.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't.
Hard life in Montana.
Yeah. Holy cow.
That was really
That's
sad.
not gonna happen.
My
to this
grandpa
dog.
my grandpa really hated it too. He
We're
was
gonna
like, "You
keep
don't have
this
to do
dog
that."
safe.
Yeah, we would never let that happen
No,
to Kane.
never let that happen to Kane. And Todd, you said Sean Payton said something. You're referring to the rescue dogs, orphan dogs conversation, but Sean Payton said something yesterday that opened some eyes. Of course, when the Broncos draft Bo Nix, he's the exact same nearly stature as Drew Brees. Both now quarterbacks of Sean Payton. Both look the same. Both have similar games. So naturally, comparisons are going to happen between Bo Nix and Drew Brees. But when Sean Payton talks about the similarities and compares these two, that kind of opens eyes. And yesterday, after the Broncos' 8th OTA practice, Sean was asked if there's any similarities between Drew and Bo. And I thought Sean was just going to completely brush the question off and say, like, I'm not going there. Because a lot of coaches do that, and that's understandably so.
Yep.
But Sean didn't take that route. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. We'll talk about it. Let's hear Sean Payton's answer on comparing the similarities between Bo and Drew.
I know you're just getting to know Bo Nix, but in the short amount of time you've gotten to know him on and off the field, is there anything about him that reminds you of a young Drew Brees?
Mentally, he wants to know as much as fast as he can. There's he's the son of a coach. Now, Drew wasn't necessarily the son of a coach, but this group of quarterbacks in general are kind of like gym rats. They enjoy the process. It's been a good room. I mean, it's when you talk to Davis or Joe or myself, it's these guys are doing well. They're pushing each other. Today, we were on this odd day where every day you came, Bo was running with the ones. Today, I think it was Zach's turn. You'll see minicamp, but I think there's maybe a maturity level because again he's played 61 games, and when we got Drew, it was off of his rookie contract, coming off an injury. So. Yeah, I mean, he locates the ball well. He's accurate, and I think Drew was.
Todd, something or nothing?
I think it's something. I don't think he had to say anything. He's very good at, answering questions the way he wants. I think he's does well in the media. Like, if he doesn't want to answer the question, he finds a way to kind of like to not answer the question. But for him to be able to say just anything about Bo, I think is a stamp of approval. I think for a guy anything about Bo and Drew, he worked with him for years. And I don't think he's really one to kind of mince words or kind of just big people up when they don't deserve it either.
Yeah.
He didn't say that he's the next Drew Brees coming, but he did say, loves the work ethic. Son of a coach, which means like he understands the game. I think that's what he was trying to point to as far as like him and Drew Brees have a great understanding of the game. So I think it means something.
What if Sean just came out and said, size him up for a gold jacket? It's time to size up Drew or Bo for a gold jacket. That would have been incredible. But I agree with you, Todd. And I think Henry's going to take a different direction with this, which I think there's some fairness there as well. But I heard 3 things that he pointed to as similarities, and then a bunch of, as kind of Todd, you said, and I think Henry's going to argue, like kind of just walking around the question. There was certainly a lot of that, but I heard 3 things. Maturity. He's played in 61 college games over these past many years, which is a ton. I believe, isn't it the most that any quarterback has ever played in college? I think he set that record. He set another record, which I'll hit in just a second. But you know how many games in the NFL Drew Brees played before joining Sean Payton with the Saints?
60.
59.
Wow.
So close, Todd, and so close, obviously, what Bo had. So he's seeing them both at a similar point in their career in terms of just a lot of experience under their belt. Obviously, Drew's was in the NFL, where Bo's is in college, but in the SEC and then at Oregon with the top 25 team. So maturity. And the very first thing he said is just his ability to process things and pick things up quickly. And that was just, I have to imagine that Drew Brees had that, being an all-time great, and just how he was like Peyton Manning. He didn't win because he was the fastest guy on the field. He didn't win because he had the strongest arm on the field. He won because of what he did at the line of scrimmage and then diagnosing defenses a second or two after the snap. And he said Bo has that as well. And then the third thing, which he said at the very end after a long pause, was accuracy. And that's no surprise, because you know who holds the single season college completion percentage record, Todd?
Mr. Nix.
Mr. Nix. You know who holds the single season NFL completion percentage record?
Mr. Brees.
Mr. Brees, exactly. So those guys, like, Sean has the stats to back that one up. And if we're talking about ability to process, maturity, and accuracy, those are 3 pretty significant things that Sean pointed at that Bo has that he thinks Drew has as well. So I actually do think there was a lot of just kind of maneuvering around the question in the middle there from Sean, but I think he pointed to 3 very significant things when he did not have to at all. He could have done that middle stuff for the entire answer, and
But then what would we be saying?
We just would have moved on. We would have said, well, what is he supposed to say? Instead, I think he pointed to 3 pretty significant things. Henry, I think you disagree.
Yeah, the thing is, so he gets asked, like, what are the similarities? And he starts his answer with, well, their personalities are different. I'd say...
Well, it wasn't the very start.
I'm just looking at the official. He said, this is what they sent out. Their personalities are different. I'd say, all right, we're looking for similarities. I would say mentally, Bo wants to know as much and as fast as he can. He's the son of a coach. Drew wasn't necessarily the son of a coach. But this group of quarterbacks in general, like, that's not like a strong, like, he's just like Drew Brees. So I think that this is one that, I don't know. When you get asked that question, it's very easy for it to seem like Sean is comparing Bo Nix to Drew Brees. And I guess, like, technically you're looking for details, but I definitely don't look at that and say, like, Sean thinks that Bo is the next Drew Brees or anything like that. Like, I don't think that he enjoyed answering that question at all. And
so what do you take from it then? Do you view it as a
Not
negative
much.
that he don't want to point to similarities?
that would be an insane thing to do.
Okay.
Like, if you're like, he is the next Drew Brees, like, that would be crazy. I think, like, it's kind of interesting. Like, Bo works really hard, and that's similar. He wants to know things, and that's similar. But those are kind of things we already knew. He's accurate, and it's like, well, yeah, we saw. I feel like I didn't really learn anything, which it isn't the end of the world, but I don't think it's the most groundbreaking answer.
It's not groundbreaking, but I think it's important that he said it. Like, we can go out there and see he's accurate, but if he's saying, he was at practice with Drew Brees every day, and he's saying that accuracies are similar, I think that means more than just us watching it. I think even to the first statement, I think he's saying, like, okay, let me think of similarities. Bo wants to know as much as he can as quick as possible. Okay, Drew was the same way, but I think he just thinks, like, maybe it comes from Bo being the son of a coach.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he wasn't the son of a coach, but in the same regard, they both want to know as much as they can as soon as possible. I don't know, man. I just think it's important that him being the head coach and him being the guy that kind of molded Drew Brees into the player he was, if he sees any similarities, I think it's a good thing.
I totally agree. And I truly thought when the question was being asked, I thought, I like the question, but no way are we getting anything from Sean. Before Drew has played in a single, or before Bo has played in a single NFL game that Sean is going to remotely entertain, comparing him with a guy that he worked with for 15 years and built from a good NFL player to a Hall of Fame player. And then he did a little bit. And Henry, I do think it's fair that you see, like, he didn't say he's the next Drew Brees and, like, glaze or rave about him.
No, Glaze
like,
works too now.
Glaze, does it?
Yeah, it's like a Instagram. That's what the kids are saying.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
See, I knew I was hip.
Say it again?
Glaze. Have you heard that? We'll talk after. It's a little
Yeah, I think it means something different
It
than
does,
what you're
but I mean,
saying.
like, but no. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, Sean didn't glaze Bo or anything like that. Like, he meant, but it works in that context as well.
I don't know.
Like, it works in that context.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. But I mean, like, in the Instagram comment, like, NBA world type way.
Well, to me, it's pretty clear that Sean thinks Bo's pretty swoop, if we're using him.
Oh, wow. There's
there.
a throwback. There's a throwback. He thinks he's soup. I have
going
one more
downhill.
thought. What if somebody just asked Sean, like, do you see anything about Henry that reminds you of Stephen A. Smith?
He would say no.
He would say nothing at all? You don't think he would say, like, mentally they want to know as much as fast as they can?
No.
They
Absolutely
enjoy
not.
the process.
You only say
they're pushing,
similarities when there are similarities. If they're two different players, then you don't
the maturity
find.
level,
And see, like,
the work ethic, they're gym rats.
Henry,
A lot
well,
of it, I mean-
definitely not.
Well, not like literal.
I don't think he was
published
saying
my notes at
literal.
2 a.m. last night.
That's true. That's
Gym
true.
rat.
You got to go check out the DNVR.com for all the practice notes yesterday if you want even more in-depth than what we got into yesterday on the show. But, maybe a Nathaniel Hackett, a first-year head coach that wants to pump up Russell Wilson, wants to pump up his new quarterback, will ooh and ah like crazy over a guy just to ooh and ah over him. Sean Payton, You think he cares about that? Absolutely not. Have we seen Sean Payton in this past year shut down reporters and really just work around questions that he thinks are stupid or that he doesn't want to answer? All the time we see that. And he didn't take that route. So, Henry, I do understand why you're not finding it significant. But, Todd, I'm with you. I do think that it's a little significant. And I just think it's just another encouraging sign.
Yes.
Are we saying, let's get his measurements for the gold jacket?
No.
Of course not. That's absolutely ridiculous. But all I've seen so far from Bo Nix is encouraging signs. We've watched 3 full practices. We have not seen Bo Nix throw an interception. We have not seen Bo Nix even throw a pass that should have been intercepted. And he just continues to stack good days on top of each other. Great days, outstanding days, no. But good days, yeah, and I'll absolutely take that from a rookie.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, I think he's moving in the right direction. I think you only answer those comparisons when you, especially Sean, when he truly feels like there's something comparable there. It's not saying that he's routing the money. He's exactly as accurate as Drew Brees. He's exactly as smart. He needs to know knowledge as fast as Drew Brees does. I just think he sees, like, he's on the same path. I think that's why they drafted him. There was too many similarities for them not to be like, I think I can redo what I did before.
So speaking of comparisons, tell me who's a really good home run hitter in the MLB?
Aaron Judge.
Oh, yeah. Tell me, of these people, who's the best comp to Aaron Judge in terms of a home run hitter? Cortland Sutton, Garrett Bowles, Jaleel McLaughlin, Jarrett Stidham, Will Lutz, Matt Henningsen, Adam Troutman, Quinn Miners, Damari Mathis, Jonathan Cooper.
I've got Quinn.
Of course you
Cortland, he's the tallest,
That is Aaron Judge.
most stature.
Yeah, that's very
Yes.
true. I was going to put my hat in the ring for Garrett Bowles just because he's got that power, but, I mean, Garrett, that kind of goes with Quinn Miners, but you're right.
He's more like a big poppy.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the thing, though. Quinn, he's like the big bowler. He's hanging out with all the pro bowlers, bringing the pro bowlers to all the games in Denver. Like, I think he has like a 300. So he's like really good at that. He goes and plays.
Pro bowlers. No. You.
Oh, pro bowler.
Because we're in an
Yeah.
NFL show, so you got to explain what you mean when you say pro bowler. I'm like,
professional bowlers. There we go.
there
He's
we
a
go.
professional bowler. He's hanging out with the professional bowlers. Repeat everything I said, but just with professional bowlers. Then he goes on that cornhole thing. And that first game he played in that cornhole tournament was insane. Like, he's just dropping it in from crazy. Like, he's sliding it up and like curving it. He's got like the sticky side down. He's got the. Yeah. So the thing is, we know he's good at football. We know he's good at cornhole. I've never seen him be bad at anything, and he has so much power that I think that the home run hitting.
But
I'm that's my bet.
I will say the last two are the same motion. So I don't know
True.
if we can count.
That's fair.
They're
Okay.
both this, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And one is either you're throwing a ball or you're throwing like he's very good at, you know what I'm saying? Maybe even when he's striking an alignment, maybe he's just
It's all under. That's the trick.
I mean, if you hit the right spot with that motion,
Rolling
that's
form,
pretty
yeah.
solid. Yep. And the reason we don't have to, we can debate this for the
We
next
can.
6 days. But we're going to find out next week, because the reason I bring this up is we're thrilled to announce and partner with the awesome charity event brought to you by UC Health. It's a UC Health Healthy Swings Charity Home Run Derby, the 6th annual one, this coming Wednesday, June 12th, from 3 to 5 p.m. And what they've done is they brought your favorite professional athletes from the Denver football team that we talk about on this show all the time. They brought them to Coors Field next week for the 6th annual Home Run Derby, and all those players I mentioned: Cortland Sutton, Garrett Bowles, Jaleel McLaughlin, Jarrett Stidham, Will Lutz, Matt Henningsen, Adam Troutman, Quinn Miners, Damari Mathis, and Jonathan Cooper are going to be there in a thrilling bracket-style derby to raise funds for Next Chapter, which is a fantastic organization that supports veterans and their families, an awesome cause. And it's more than just a derby. It's about making a difference in the community, brought to you by UC Health. So join us and UC Health live online on Wednesday, June 12th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the UC Health Healthy Swings event for an afternoon of fun, community, and a great cause as we come together and support the community with helping people live healthy and extraordinary lives by UC Health. We're going to be out there. We're going to be doing our show from there, so you're going to stay tuned. We are going to bring you everything, but also stay tuned online as well.
Yeah. I think that Court is a lock for top 3.
I would think so.
Like, just the athleticism and obviously, like, the size strength combination. Like,
he's a great basketball player too.
Definitely. I wonder how that translates. Like, you give Nikola Jokic a bat, what happened? That's a different conversation. But I think that he's just such a great athlete that he's definitely going to be right up there. I think raw power, I still go Quinn. But maybe the more interesting conversation is who's going to do the worst. Like, you could see Jaleel just not having the power of some of those other guys.
Wow.
Yeah, that's.
Would
you say that to his face? Mm-hmm. He's the first one in the building every
don't
morning,
have any
5:15
power.
a.m.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jared Stidham.
I would say that.
A lot of times quarterbacks are multi-sport athletes,
Yeah.
so I could
Usually
actually see him
baseball
being
players.
good.
Especially, like, from the South.
Yeah, Will Lutz probably just a golfer in nature. I don't know if that translates much to.
He's the one who's small. Like, B-Mac is like Brand McManus is like a tall guy. Will Lutz isn't like that tall. Like, he might not have a bunch of power. Kicker's got to be in conversation for the worst.
Damari Mathis.
Yeah, like, he's got some power. Like, half these guys have probably never swung a baseball bat.
So you
in,
ask
like,
who's going to be the
competitive way.
worst, and then you're backing all of them up when I throw them out.
But that's why, like, just compared to Jaleel, like, I would take
I
Demar.
guess
Jalil's
everyone
the worst.
would-
No.
Oh,
I
man.
think in hindsight,
cold.
Will Lutz is probably the bottom. Stidham's,
Yeah, we do. How are you
Oh.
going to get down to Coors, Henry?
You're going to drive in a Toyota.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, they actually have a Toyota there. You ever see that?
At Coors,
Yeah, they have that
in
big
the, in the
truck.
left field.
Is that- it
and
must be
I
a
think
Tacoma.
I think it's been hit once or twice by home runs
Yeah.
because you have to hit it like 500 feet in order
Dang.
to actually hit it.
Yeah, because it's like way up on top of the concourse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Rockies love Toyota, and who wouldn't listen to what they have to say? We
Well-
personally have some love for Toyota as well. The 4Runner, the Tacoma,
Uh-huh.
the Prius, the Supra, so many Toyotas, and they're all
Sequoia.
the Sequoia,
Yeah.
the
RAV4.
the RAV4, yes, the Corolla,
Yeah. The
Their
Camry.
Corolla.
yeah,
I could keep
That
going.
Corolla is ride or die. You could ride a Corolla for like 400
it's
miles,
so-
400,000 miles. That will
It's so
not die on you.
Wow. And if you want to check out any of these Toyotas, you can go to your Front Range Toyota stores, the RAV4, the Grand Highlander, a great SUV. They've got stores all over the Auto Nation, Toyota, Arapahoe, and Centennial, the Corwin Toyota in Boulder, the Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR.
So yesterday we also saw P.J. Locke just continue to clamp down that starting safety spot next to Brandon Jones when Brandon Jones is healthy. I think it's going to be those two, number 22 and 6 out there as the starting safeties. And we also got to talk to PJ after practice yesterday. And man, just thinking about his journey, undrafted guy out of Texas. Now, just a couple of years later, I guess 5 years later, he is seemingly the starting safety. He is a guy that Sean Payton points to as being a leader to step in the shoes of Justin Simmons. He's maybe becoming one of the faces and hearts and souls of this Denver Broncos defense. And just last year, there were some people that thought, like, maybe he's not going to make the team going into last year. He had a monster breakout season last year. We have really interesting insight from Baldy on just how good P.J. Locke is that you'll hear later in the show. But we kind of got thinking of P.J. Locke and thought about, like, well, who are some other breakout players for the Broncos that we might see have that P.J. Locke breakout season this year?
Yeah, first of all, on PJ, like, I think that it was a mistake to think that strong safety job was up for grabs. I think that the way he played last year, he had it locked up all along. And hearing him talk yesterday, he said a couple things like about the contract negotiation. He signs a 2-year deal, and one of them was, you know, he thought that he was going to have one more year where it was him and Justin before Justin leaves, and then they have like a replacement. And he talked a lot about that, and there was some interesting stuff in there. But I think that in those negotiations, they made it pretty clear that he was the guy. I think that when you look back, it should have been obvious just because he's made so many plays. Like you go back to 2022,
I agree.
That 11-10 win on Sunday Night Football over the 49ers, a classic that nobody will ever forget. He forced the fumble that won them the game.
Yeah.
He forced the fumble. Kareem picked it up, and that was that.
Yep.
He picked off a pass that sealed the win over the Packers in 2023.
Wait, you're talking about he picked off
Jordan Love.
maybe the highest paid quarterback soon?
Oh, yeah. He picked off Jordan Love to seal that game. He had a 4th down strip sack that sealed the win over the Browns this year as well. He had other huge plays in the 4th quarter. There was the one against the Texans where he had the strip sack that gave the Broncos the ball on the plus side of the field with with 5 minutes to go and a 5-point deficit. Like they had a chance to go out there and win that game against the Texans because of that play. The strip sack against Justin Herbert, the Broncos probably had a lead that was insurmountable at that point, but just over and over and over, he's made so many plays that when you watch him at training camp, yesterday he had a pick and a sack on a blitz around the edge. You see it and you're like, this is one of the best defenders on the field. He is a starter. Like, beyond that, he might be one of your better starters, too. Like, there's the concerns about the long speed or the height. But until those show up, he's a really good player, and he is a starter.
Yeah, and how was Kareem Jackson the fastest player on the field?
No, I wouldn't say it was the fastest.
Was he
Especially
the
later on.
biggest player on the field? Was he the
No.
tallest player on the field?
Nope.
And did he have
Yeah.
a damn good career? And was he a
Hell of
good player?
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, so like,
Yeah.
To your point, Henry, like, yeah, you don't have to be the biggest, the fastest, the tallest at that safety spot as long as you're not put in a position where you have to guard as a shorter safety. If
Yep.
you have to guard a 6'6" tight end, as long as you're not put in that position, you can be just fine. And I think PJ is absolutely more than just fine.
Yeah, and I think Kareem, especially later in the career, because he did run a 4.4 flat, which is a pretty insane time for a safety, especially.
He came out as a corner though.
Yeah, that is
That's
true.
a good point.
And then flipped pretty. Yeah.
I
First
should
we
say
came to Denver.
when he was with the Broncos,
yeah.
he wasn't like
Exactly.
the fastest guy
No.
on the field.
But PJ's been learning from, and there were some other interesting things. He said he thought not only they had another year just to be with Justin, but to like learn from Justin. And Justin's kind of like the face of everything back there. But now PJ has, as Sean said last week, he's kind of become the leader in the safeties room, and just given the way Pat operates, kind of the leader in the secondary, because Pat's not like a big talkative rah type of guy, and PJ's kind of filling that role, which is interesting. And so I like it. I think that when you pick your leaders, you want to have leaders who have the right personality, because that does in some ways become the identity of your defense. You know, you think back to, again, the Super Bowl 50 team, like Aqib is kind of a leader out there. And so you take on some of that. You take on some of the DeMarcus stuff, and you just kind of blend all that together. I think PJ's attitude is a good attitude to be in that room. And I don't think he's going to be a captain, but I almost think that there's a chance that he's a captain this year.
Yeah, that's a great conversation to have over the next few weeks, especially in the dead of the offseason, is who are these captains? And I think PJ's absolutely in that conversation.
He's on the list.
So would you say that last year he had his breakout year, or could this year be his breakout year?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Last year was his breakout year for me, because I don't know if he was seen as a starter before that. Even with him making plays, for whatever reason, he wasn't their first choice most of the time. I think Caden Stearns was their first choice.
Yep.
And even last year, it was, is it going to be Caden Stearns or is it going to be Kareem? You know, PJ was kind of like behind those two.
Yep.
And so with Stearns being injured, then later K-Jack getting suspended, I think was the first time PJ came in for him. He came in and just took the job.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say, even the organization, I don't think they thought he would ball out the way he did. So I think he just had a breakout season, and I think he's going to continue to do so.
I completely agree with you, especially in Denver and even in the organization, like you said. Last year was his breakout year.
Yeah.
And there's different types of breakouts you could have. Like, he could have a national breakout this coming year. But I think what we're going to talk about is kind of the P.J. Locke sort of breakout type of season, what like breakout on the team to us in this Denver media.
I think for that, it's important to remember like exactly where he came from, because he got, I think it was $2,000 guaranteed.
I got nothing. I'm just
There you go. The Broncos had 2 guys who got nothing this year. You're like one of them, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Who are the 2? Do you know off the top of your head?
I want to say Alec Mock, and who got beat on a slant by Javonte yesterday. And
You know what position Alec Mock plays, Todd?
yeah.
Inside
Nice.
linebacker.
You know,
He's
Yep.
next Todd Davis, maybe.
we'll see.
I don't think it might have been that punter. The punter was way down there, but I don't think he was 0. I can't remember. But
It had to be the punter.
so he goes to the Steelers, gets like the $2,000 or whatever, gets cut pretty quick, and comes to Denver. And I wrote all this up. I'll tweet the link out later. I wrote this last year when I talked to him. But what he realized was to make the team, you got to play special teams.
For sure.
And so he started spending a lot of time with, I believe it was Joe DeCamillis, who was the special
guy.
teams coordinator at the time. Yeah. And so what PJ was saying was he'd get there early and just come up with questions he already knew the answer to. Mm-hmm. And then he'd just go up and just have an excuse to go like get FaceTime with the special teams coordinator. And that got him spots on special teams.
Got to play the game. baby.
Exactly. So he did that. So that was 2019. And obviously one of their better special teamers for a while before last year finally gets the opportunity. And like I said, I was talking to him before training camp, and like he looked me dead in the eye and just said, "I promise you I will be a starter in the NFL." I was like, okay. And the guys say a bunch of that stuff. I've heard that from other guys, and they might be right too. But to see that, and he finally gets the opportunity as a 27-year-old to kind of go out there and play, just like a late blooming guy who's really worked for everything he's gotten.
Yeah, a 100%.
Yeah.
Really cool story. And it's cool that there's so many stories. And Todd, you're one of those prime examples as well. And it's really cool to not work with you,
Yeah,
to be honest. Yeah.
you're
From undrafted to DNVR host, I think that's the real story.
wow. You
Let's
better
go.
start
That's the
saving
real
a spot for
story
PJ. One
He just had
other
a
fun.
quick stop at the Super Bowl.
You know,
but
yeah.
Wait, and really quick, I got to give a shout out to
Oh,
our
yes.
friends over at Vestibule. If you think that Baron Browning is going to have a national breakout this year and you want to invest in his future success in terms of the amount of dollars he's going to make, you can actually invest in Baron Browning's stock right now over at Vestibule. If you scan the QR code on the screen, it'll download the Vestibule app, or you can go to the App Store and download the Vestibule app. And it's really cool where you can buy stock in athletes' careers. It's really cool program Vestible's doing, and their first athlete is Denver Broncos, Baron Browning, where Baron Browning's their first and premier athlete right now. They're adding more athletes in the college game as well, but Baron's IPO is available and live right now. Shares are available for purchase, but they are limited. So download the Vestibule app and invest in Baron Browning, where he's entering the final year of his deal. He could be getting a massive contract next year. So you could see that investment turn out pretty soon. Go to Vestibule app and download and invest right now.
Shout out to Coors Light, the only beer that is made to chill. It's brewed cold, packaged cold, and then when you enjoy it, it should be cold. Coors Light, you know, we always keep it on set. I think it's a great beer for any time of the year, but it's especially great right now in the summer. It's getting hot outside. If you're going to see the Rockies, if you're going, well, the Nuggets aren't playing anymore. Oh, man, that's
Yeah.
tough.
Go see the
But
Rockies.
anyway.
Rockies.
Concerts
are
True.
always great to have a Coors Light. There's plenty of great times to have a Coors Light, but it's the best when you're trying to chill. When you want to make the most out of your time to chill, choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company in Golden, Colorado. I have a couple kids, so I definitely need Coors. Gotta keep Coors stocked so I can make sure I chill.
Okay, so let's talk about some other potential breakout players this year. Let's throw some names out there right now, then break them down in our Bet365 top 5.
Yeah. So let's see. Can start with the safeties. JL Skinner.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy who, again, like you don't really know how the opportunities are going to shake out. You know, PJ might have been able to do this a few years ago. We saw he got the opportunity in the 49ers game in 2022. made the game-winning play. Who knows if Skinner's even going to get on the field? But if he does, I do think that he's somebody who could be capable of taking that step.
So then if we're starting with the safeties room, should we throw DTY in as well? Like, I think
Yeah.
JL Skinner probably has a better shot because he's younger, and DTY's kind of maybe, unfortunately, kind of stabled off and, like, is a guy that's really fighting for a roster spot.
I think
So I would
DTY
put-
definitely fits the PJ mold more.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
Turner Yell had what? He tied for the most special teams tackles on the team last year, so he has made himself kind of indispensable in that way. Again, with all these changes to the kickoff rules, who knows how that's going to shake out? There's a lot of talk about like which body types you want and what works and what doesn't. I think that he certainly has a case as well.
So to stick on the defensive side, I would look at Jonas Griffith as a
Yeah.
big-time guy that could have this big jump, too.
Yeah, I would say him or Cody Barton. I don't think
Yeah.
many
good
people
point.
know about him. But for us to be successful, one of those two guys has to have a breakout year.
Yeah, I completely agree. What about outside linebacker? I feel like Jonathan Cooper has already had that breakout year because now he's kind of viewed as a starter. Honestly, like, could anyone else have that this year? Baron Browning, Nick Benito, obviously Drew Sanders probably not with the injury, and obviously rookies can't really have a breakout year, but have those guys already broken out, Baron Browning and Nick Benito, or could they have that?
I think a breakout season needs to be at least 12 to 15 games
yeah.
because he always
Yeah.
flashes, and then like he gets injured, he doesn't really
Yep.
get to perform the entire season. Like, he's flashed, but I won't say he's broken out. Can he break out? Absolutely. He is poised to have a breakout season. And so I would definitely put Baron Browning on the list because he shows a lot of similarities and attributes to Vaughn as far as how he bends the corner and the way he makes plays. See how I only compare people that I feel like are true comparisons. Henry. But yeah, so I think he is posed for a breakout season. So let's do it.
I
Yeah.
think for any of those guys to have a breakout season, they've got to make a Pro Bowl.
Oh.
For it to be like a true breakout, because I think they've all proven they're like
PJ
starters.
So
I think-
so they need to take that next step and have that national breakout.
I think
is what you're saying.
that there is room for another step. I think that's where that
absolutely.
next step is, though.
for sure.
For it to be like a big breakout. I think you could also look at like a guy like Ronnie Perkins. If at the end of the year you're saying he's a starting linebacker, that would be a breakout.
Would be.
I feel like I'm looking for like double-digit sacks, like
Yeah.
12 to 15 sacks would be a breakout season. I think if they were to make a Pro Bowl this year, they're going to have like 17 sacks
Yeah.
to beat
Yeah.
out another,
Yeah.
the other edge rushers in the
That could
AFC,
be.
like to really make
That
their
could
name
be.
known.
If one of these guys has 12 to 15
Crazy.
sacks, oh my goodness, it would be a success. I don't care what anyone else does.
Yep.
Obviously, like I hope everyone else has more than 0 sacks combined, but holy cow, that would be a massive win. On the defensive line and cornerbacks, the two positions we haven't hit, anyone jump out to you? I mean, Damari Mathis, maybe at cornerback, would that kind of be the P.J. Locke
Yeah.
sort of jump?
He could. It's weird for him because he'd kind of just be getting back to where we thought he was the year before.
true. Yeah.
So I might need a big one. In terms of defensive line, Elijah Garcia's been a project for a while now.
Yeah.
Just like a 6'5", 300-pound athletic 3 technique, which if he turns out to be as good as the flashes are, all of a sudden you've got a really, really good player, a $15 million a year player, like a Zach Allen type.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one that I would keep an eye on.
Yeah, because I think everybody else is kind of like, well, a lot of the guys, like you even say Damari Mathis or Zach Allen or DJ Jones, like they've all have kind of gotten to a level and have either kind of slipped down a little bit or just stayed right
Yeah.
there. I think when I think breakout year, I think of guys that are like slowly building over time and they're ready to kind of like,
Yeah.
that sounds crazy.
Oh, wow.
And then ready to what, Todd?
Break out. No. But I think it's like this like building process. And I can't point to a lot of guys on the Broncos team that have kind of been building successfully over time.
Yeah, 100%. And then when I look at the
Justin
offensive,
Cernaud would fit.
yeah, he
Special
really would.
teams.
He did. Yeah,
He
yeah.
had a nice play yesterday. Like just traffic on like an outside run just goes right through and gets the guy.
It's
Yeah.
a really good point.
Yeah.
He'd definitely be that PJ mode.
Yeah.
On the offensive side, I think there's 3 guys that really jump out to me. Tell me if there's more or if you disagree. Jaleel McLaughlin.
For sure, without
I mean,
a doubt.
to go
Yep.
from exactly the PJ Locke role, like definitely you see some optimism and encouragement about him. But then to be that starter and to take that jump, he's one. Then Alex Forsyth to go from a backup to a starter. I think he has that opportunity.
Wattenberg, too.
And Wattenberg, exactly.
Same
I think
boat.
Forsyth has a better chance at that, though. And then the other one, Marvin Mims.
For sure.
I mean, exactly. The flashes that we've seen from PJ to now a full-time starter. Anyone else?
Lucas Kroll. Lucas Kroll would also fit. Has like a few
It's true.
opportunities last year, and now this year could get a bunch of them. Nate Adkins too.
And I would say
And of
Lucas
course, like
Kroll
Blake
has a better
Watson.
chance at that.
Yeah, especially just the style of player.
Yep. Can't go over
Nate
with a
Adkins
rookie.
is just your Chris Manhertz replacement.
Right. Okay, so then let's do this in our Bet365 top 5. Let's build this list. Who's the number one breakout candidate for the Broncos this year to follow in P.J. Locke's footsteps?
Jaleel.
100%.
Yeah.
He's my number one.
Yeah,
Jaleel
makes sense.
McLaughlin. And man, that would just be so exciting because he is a guy that can provide so much juice, so much flash, so much explosiveness that this team so desperately needs and honestly has needed for so long. So Jaleel, number one. Are we sticking with offense for number two or going defense?
Let's stick with offense. I think Marvin Mims is number 2.
Yep.
He had some
So,
flashes
too.
last year. He played pretty well when he was given the opportunity. It's been talked about multiple times that even Sean Payton feels like he needs to give him the ball more, and it was, the team's fault for him not being more instrumental in the game plan. I think not only is he ready, but the team is ready for him to have a breakout season.
Ain't that the truth? 100%. Henry, where are we going here?
Lucas Kroll's probably
Man,
right there.
sticking with offense. I love it. That would be huge.
Yeah. I think Riley Moss would be close too, having sat out last year.
Okay. So,
It's just tough to say who's going to get an opportunity on defense. Jonas Griffith, maybe. I would say, let's see, we got 2 spots. I'd say Jonas Griffith and Lucas Kroll should be on the list somewhere.
I mean, let's just go Lucas Kroll, Jonas Griffith, and Riley Moss or Damari Mathis, Todd?
I would say probably Riley Moss.
Yep.
I think he's more of the underdog that has kind of like
Yeah.
had a little bit of upwards trajectory. I think everybody's waiting to
Yeah.
see if something happens. So if he does come out and ball out, it definitely will be a breakout season
Why is he the underdog of that position, Todd?
because he was behind the underdogs.
Yes.
So,
Yes. He was just not top dog.
yeah.
You know, and I love this list. I think
You're not going to get me. That's all.
I think a lot of these are realistic too. And man, the level of breakout of these guys might determine if the Broncos make the playoffs or if they're a 5-win team, which is kind of crazy. And obviously, Bo Nix, number one on that. All right, we have already talked to our guy, Brian Baldinger. We pre-recorded it before the show, and we're going to drop the interview right now. And then stay tuned. We have an awesome, awesome show coming your way tomorrow. Might be a little bit of a different time. Could be around 1:30, so stay tuned to that. You're not going to want to miss this.
Can we not say who it is?
Oh, we've really hinted at it.
Wow.
We'll make it official later on social
Yes.
media just when we know time. But court will be in session, is what I'll say. And also, stay tuned to after the Brian Baldy interview. We've got a really cool song that we want to debut for you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And really, I love this conversation that we had with Baldy. Enjoy it. We are joined by the legend himself, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, what is going on? You got a Baldy shirt.
That's how I do. I'm walking into NovaCare with the Eagles minicamp here today with the Baldy's Breakdown shirt, just letting everybody know that, I'm here. I'm looking to break some things down, seeing what they're going to do different this year.
Uh-oh, the sheriff's on campus now. That's a little intimidating for the Eagles. After that, are these public shirts? Can we get ourselves some Baldy's Breakdown?
Well, they will soon be, Zach. They're not right now. They're in the process of being made and setting up a shop, but they will be. We'll be up and running like in the next month for sure.
Oh, I love it. Well, we're definitely going to get
All
our
right.
hands on
Good.
those. All right, so Baldy, we're talking today about Sean Payton yesterday. Talked about some similarities between Drew Brees and Bo Nix. Is that just something that people have grasped onto because of the Sean Payton connection, or are there actually similarities between Bo Nix and Drew Brees?
Well, I think Drew played a lot of games at Purdue. Bo Nix played a lot of games at Auburn and Oregon. They played a lot of football in college. But I think what Sean's referring to is just the how quick he's making these decisions right now, and getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And that was a problem last year. It was a problem early on in the offense, just getting the ball out. But I think I'm not going to go crazy with, making any comparisons, obviously. Nobody wants to do that. But there's things that you see day to day, just the quickness of decision-making, because your speed of your decision-making is going to determine if a team blitzes you, if they don't blitz you, route combinations, all those kind of things. If you can see it quick and beat it quick, you have a much better chance of staying on schedule in this business right now. And I think what Sean said yesterday, it opened my eyes. I don't think he's just throwing out bouquets just to throw out bouquets. That wouldn't serve anybody good. I mean, if there's criticism to be made, you might not want to publicly air that right now. It's early. But when he's doing something good, I think Sean wants to let everybody know that this guy is, he's ahead of schedule right now.
With, Bo Nix's progression and him trying to be, I guess everybody wants him to be like Drew Brees. I feel like that's a tall task. Like you said, I hate the comparisons because he has such an amazing career and has done so much. I feel like for me, my question is, how do we kind of navigate all these comparisons? Because I feel like Drew did a lot of stuff at the line before the play even snapped that made him successful. How do we see when, I guess, Bo is able to pick that up?
Well, I think you're still a ways away from being able to do all those things. I mean, I know Drew was burning midnight oil late in meetings on Monday, Tuesday night, how to figure out how to block Aaron Donald or whatever it was. I mean, he was involved in a lot of those sessions. That's a lot to ask for any rookie right now. You're trying to, listen to the play, get the play out of your mouth, make sure everybody knows what they're doing. If there's if there's some sort of audible at the line, get into that. When you start, running the run game the way Drew did, that's a lot. That's down the road, but it's not to say that he can't do some of that right now. Just looking at a light box, looking at personnel against your personnel and seeing things. Like, part of that is playing a lot of college football and, in a lot of different circumstances and different schemes. And so I think some of that carries over, but, if he can do some of that stuff now, I mean, he's just ahead of the game, period.
What is the big difference in terms of the pre-snap reads in the Oregon offense, I guess, in particular, versus what the Broncos do? Like, are there just more disguised blitzes? Is it this disguised coverages? Like, what is the learning curve there? What do you have to tackle?
Well, I mean, in college, everybody's playing some version of a 3-3 double cloud, 3 defensive linemen, outside linebackers walked away to cover the spread. I mean, you're not getting Micah Parsons coming at you. You're not seeing Joey Bosa, every down, every time you drop back. You're varying the number of type of sets. I mean, the Eagles here just for the first time in 10 years are putting in a quick set. I mean, it's not even a 3-step drop. And, like a lot of colleges don't have that. A lot of teams don't have that. So you got 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drops. You got play action passes. The run game is completely different in the pros than it is in college. Very little power type plays, very, very little 2 tight end blocking schemes in college. It's basically a completely different offense at the college level than it is at the NFL level. So everything from terminology to formations to motions, pre-snap shifts and motions, it's quite a bit different from basically in college. You're looking over the sideline. Okay, what defense are they in? Here's the play. And you just call the play. There's very little done at the line of scrimmage at the college game.
Baldy, I want to turn this conversation a little bit, actually a lot. You're out at Eagles camp right now, and the Eagles were linked with Justin Simmons a lot. Maybe it was just by fans doing it, but it seemed like it made a lot of sense. What's going on with Justin Simmons? Now he's been on the market for a couple of months. What do you think ends up happening? Where does he go?
Well, I mean, one of the connections there is Vic Fangio is here, coach of the defense in Philadelphia. Obviously, he was his head coach for a couple of years in Denver. So, I mean, there's a real familiarity there with what he can do. Safety is a weakness. So it was a very weak position for the Eagles last year. They had a hard time keeping guys safety. They traded for Kevin Byard halfway through the season. It didn't really work out. Some of the young guys couldn't stay healthy. Sidney Brown was a rookie, couldn't stay healthy. So there's interest for sure, but I just think it's probably what Justin Simmons feels like he's worth. And maybe the longer he waits, maybe the market dries up, but maybe somebody not necessarily is desperate. Somebody says, we need a Pro Bowl caliber safety right here, and we're willing to pay X amount of dollars to get him. And so I think that's a big part of it right now. I know they're interested in Miami in him. I've heard those conversations, certainly in Philadelphia. The Giants have a very, very young secondary. They lost Xavier McKinney. I think he's been linked to New York just because of how young they are at that position and inexperienced. And he makes any secondary better the day he walks in the building.
Well, I'll keep talking about safety since we're on the safety topic. I want to talk about the Broncos' two safeties kind of battling for a spot, P.J. Locke and Caden Stearns. In your opinion, who do you feel like would be the better fit kind of to replace Justin Simmons? And then also, have you ever heard of a safety rotation? I think Hank has been pushing for one for a couple of weeks now to have those two guys kind of rotating in and out of the games. What do you think?
Well, when PJ went in there, when I think Kareem got, suspended last year, it looked like it was an upgrade, to be honest with you, the way that he played. I mean, taking the ball away, key stops. In that 5-game stretch, I think PJ was on the field quite a bit. I think he finished out a game with an interception to end it, if my memory serves me correct.
Packers, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what you're looking for from the safety. It's more than just making tackles. You've got to impact the game. The good safeties in this business take it away. They're either forcing fumbles, fumble recoveries, or interceptions, or passes defense. I mean, you got to fill up the stat sheet if you're going to be a safety. And I thought PJ did that last year. Nothing against Caden. Caden did some good things too. But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for takeaways right now at the safety position. You're the last line of defense. You see the ball in the air for the longest period of time. How you make a break on the ball, how you read the formations and the route combinations coming at you can give you a jump on some of those type of plays.
I'm curious, just looking at P.J. Locke in particular, he starts out as an undrafted guy with a tiny signing bonus, winds up going to the practice squad, then becomes a special teamer for a few years, and then finally gets an opportunity last year and looks like a starter right now. Is there anybody else on the Broncos roster who you look at and say they could kind of follow that path and maybe develop into being that guy?
Well, I mean, Jaleel kind of did that last year at running back, but their nickel corner last year did that, and he became a really valuable member of that secondary last year. And that's the path he took, from undrafted to practice squad to, becoming a starter and an impactful starter. So there's guys on that roster, and, Sean Payton doesn't care where you came from, what round you got drafted in, or how you got there. Long history. Marquez, Colston was a 7th-round pick out of Hofstra for Sean in New Orleans, and all he did was have more catches in his first 2 years in the NFL than any other receiver in history. So and you saw what Jaleel did at running back last year when he got some opportunities. Like, he's going to put guys out there. Pierre Thomas was an undrafted running back, that they got, I think, from Chicago. I mean, he started a Super Bowl game for him, undrafted player. So he doesn't really care where you come from. He's looking for production, and that's a great thing for young players that might not have been drafted or nobody knows about or are unsung. You're going to get, if you show up in practice and you do the things necessary to get on the field, you're going to get opportunities.
Baldy, when we look for production, we turn to you. You're always delivering. Thank you so much for the insight. And tell Vic Fangio, Todd Davis, his former player, says hi when you're out there.
I'm going to go see Vic right now, and I love him. No, Todd, you got it.
Right on. Thanks, Baldy. Have a great one.
See you.
Man, the legend, Baldy himself.
I only started out to have a couple of beers, but now I've had 9 and a little bit.
We are joined by the last year.
Yep.
And then
I'm going to go see Vic right now, and I love him. No, Todd, you got it.
right on. Thanks, Baldy. Have a great one.
See you.
Man, the legend, Baldy himself. It's been an interesting couple of years for Vic, especially leaving Miami. When Vic left here, I think a lot of players were very nice about him leaving, but not in Miami. But since Vic's left Miami, so many players have come out and made it very clear how they felt about playing for Vic.
Yes, that is a true statement.
It's going to be interesting what happens there, because from like an outside perspective, and obviously Vic is a great defensive mind, but from an outside perspective, people think that, man, he's just going to take that Eagles defense to the next level, when, I mean, they've had a really good defense in the past and they're changing a lot there. So the Eagles are a very interesting team, especially just they were 11-1 last year.
Yep.
And then they fell off a cliff. And now there's like questions on if Jalen Hurts is the leader of the team. Can he get them back, especially without Jason Kelce? So a lot for Baldy to see there, and some great insight from Baldy too.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, he likes P.J. Locke.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Who, by the time you guys are watching this, we've talked all about. So I want to share my thoughts. Yeah, Bo Nix, Drew Brees. We love putting those two in the same sentence, and he gave his thoughts. Yeah, good stuff.
And it'll be interesting to see where Justin Simmons lands.
Yes, that too.
That's maybe something that we'll have a conversation about coming up in a couple of weeks when we hit the true off season, where there's no OTAs, no mandatory minicamp to talk about. But thank you all so much for tuning in with us today. And we have a really cool thing to tell you about to end this show. Of course, you're going to want to stay tuned to a big show tomorrow. But before that big show tomorrow, you're going to want to hear Pleasure Horse's new song. They just dropped a new debut song that's debuting today, and they are giving it to us for us to play at the end of this show today. And of course, Pleasure Horse, if the name doesn't ring a bell, they're the one that does the intro, the outro. A lot of people think I'm part of Pleasure Horse.
They do.
Shockingly, I'm not part of Pleasure Horse, but we love Pleasure Horse, and they've got this new song called let's see what it's called. It's called Still Getting Over You. Comes out today, so go and download it, go stream it, go listen to it. And then the other thing with Pleasure Horse, they're going to be in Denver this weekend. Skylark Lounge, they're playing a concert this Saturday at 8 p.m. just off of Broadway. Skylark Lounge, really cool spot. And if you want to get your tickets, go to the Eventbrite. We put it in the description of our show on the podcast side and on the YouTube side. Click that description. Very affordable tickets to get in. Supports our community, supports small businesses, local artists, which is what we are all about. So make sure to check out the song. Make sure to check out the concert this week if you're in Denver. A big thank you to Baldy, Henry, Todd, Kale, Yahir for putting this show together. Tomorrow, stay tuned for a massive show, and enjoy Still Getting Over You by the Great Pleasure Horse.
I only started out to have a couple of beers, but now I've had 9 and a little bit of wine, and Lord, here come the tears over you. I'm still getting day that you left town, and it's true. I'm still getting over you. I'm still getting over your smile. I think about the way that you look at me more than every once in a while. You said that I'm aloof, sometimes I come unglued. It's true that I'm the fool, blowing it all up and still getting over you. Blowing it all up and still getting over you.
We all silly like the mayor.